Hello, thanks so much for joining me for my first video back from break. I didn't really intend to take such a long break, but I was moving, so I was very busy, and then I was very stressed, and then I was just lazy. So, but I thought I would kick off with a review slash flip through of this little guy. This is the Midori Pouch Diary. I've just started in it. It is an October start, which is exciting and was part of my draw to it because I have no self-control. I think there are a lot of features of it that are comparable to the Hobonichi Weeks that I'm going to go over. This is kind of funny because I think my last video was about how I was resisting the Hobonichi Weeks and I definitely wasn't going to use one, and the joke's on me because I switched right over and I've been in one for the last few months since May, really May through August because I really phoned it in at September. But yeah, so I'm going to do this first and then I'll do a comparison and we'll see where it goes. So here we are. This is actually the Midori Pouch Diary Slim. There's also an A5 size. The cover is exactly the same except obviously larger. The inserts are a little bit different in the A5. This came from Jet Pens for $37. It's in the block check pattern, which is just so nice for fall, I think, but it has a number of other colors and patterns to choose from. And this is a cover and like planner set, but you can also buy just this planner refill if you want to put it in a different cover or you have one from last year or something like that. So this one is made of linen. There are a couple ones that are made of denim. It's very soft. It does pick up cat hair like nothing else, but it's pretty easy to wipe off. You can see I have these white checks on here that still look very nice despite the fact that I've carried it around the house and tossed in my purse. I said I just started using it in October. It's an October start. I've been playing in it and carrying it around for like the last month. So good wear and tear so far. The strap is leather. It's the only leather bit on here. And then it has a gold popper and gold hardware. In the front here is a slip pocket, and here I've just kept sticky notes. A phone can fit in here. Mine doesn't fit great just because I have a bulky case with all the fixins. I have like a couple card pockets and a stand on my case. So it technically fits, it's a little tight, and if you stuff a lot of things into the interior pockets, you might have a little tough time fitting your phone in there, but great pocket. Then on the inside we have 4 card pockets, which I obviously keep cards in. There's a slip pocket on the left, and that's in addition to where the planner itself slips in. It slips into the front and back. Both covers do. And then there's an additional slip pocket back here. I have a few stickers in there. And then I'll probably tuck like receipts in there as well. And then the whole back cover is a zipper, which I thought was pretty cool. I have in there a extra little notebook. This is pocket or field note size, or like the pocket moleskin size. And so you can see that fits perfectly. You can fit all kinds of stuff in there though. So this makes a really great like wallet or clutch cover. And then the pen loop is a good size. I have a uni style fit like 4 refill in there, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's just like endless room in there. So I can't imagine a pen that wouldn't fit in there. It's a good pen loop. Okay, and now for the planner. So it is, let me see, I'm gonna slip it out of here, give you the full picture. So big difference between this and the Hobonichi Weeks obviously is the cover. These are like cardstock, which you could decorate if you want to spice it up a little, but yeah, it's not as inherently pretty as the Hobonichi Weeks. What I've done here is I've clipped a little bit of artwork from the Amber Locket. She always offers these freebies and she'll personalize them for you, and she's just super nice that way, and she makes all beautiful things. And then here I have a piece of vellum, which if you can see there, I had it in my personal rings. You can still see the holes. And I just made a little fold at the edge and I washi it in so I could make that sort of layering effect. Yeah, and then I have a little bit of artwork in there. Okay, so first thing you come to are the calendars for 2020 and 2021. I washied the top in part to add a little decoration, and also because I, being the person that I am, touched it with like sticky fingers or something. And so I also was covering that mess. Yeah, and then next is this like year at a glance. I'm sorry, I keep like tipping it here. Year at a glance, very similar to that page in the Hobonichi Weeks. Maybe I'll pull this out now to start comparing. So, get out of there. Okay. Let's show them side by side over here. Okay, so the calendars, the Midori has just the 2020 and the 2021, so the current next year. Jesus. And then the Hobonichi has current last next year. All right. And then we have this year at a glance. The big difference is that the Midori does not have these sort of headers for each. And I think these little boxes are very close to the same size. So, comparable experience, I think, unless you really like those lines at the top. Alright, and then we get into the full page monthlies. And I'll show this again. These boxes, the Midori boxes, are I think a little more square. Probably the same area space, but slightly shorter and wider. They are not on a grid. They have a green line that divides all of them, which I love, so you can like put, say, maybe tasks at the top and events on the bottom, or bills at the top, or you can do AM, PM, something like that. I like that that's built in there. And the holidays, as well as every Sunday, has a green background. I compared it to US holidays. This is still a Japanese planner, so the holidays don't really match up with any US holidays, so they're going to be kind of arbitrary to some users. They don't get in the way of anything. And then the Hobonichi has the grid all the way around and 4 little check boxes at the bottom. The Midori has just a lined section on the left, and then the previous and the next month's like mini calendar at the bottom. How I use this lined part is I track my rewards cards revolving categories. I'm trying to better utilize those, and I've done that in my past few planners, and it's nice to have in my the planner I carry with me so I can reference really quick. And I also use it for like tasks for that month. So for example, I have a friend's birthday coming up, and so buying the gift is on here. And I also color code in these pages. So as mentioned, this starts in October, and that is something to note. These annual or the full year calendars all start in 2020. But you can start planning in here. We have October, November, and December in both the months and the weeklies. And it actually goes all the way through January of 2021. So we have all of those, and then just like the Hobonichi, after the months we get the weeks. And So the layout is almost exactly the same. There's the full week on the left, and then your kind of free page on the right. Just an interesting thing is that while this planner is shorter than the weeks, it's almost the exact same width. I can show you here. Almost the exact same width, both, you know, for the cover and the spine. But it's maybe 3/4 of an inch shorter. This is almost exactly the same size as like a personal size traveler's notebook insert, but despite that, because this Midori does not have, you know, this block of text at the bottom, the boxes are exactly the same. So your writing area is the same despite the smaller size. And so if you use like Hobonichi sticker kits, things like that, you could still totally use them in here, which I think is nice. Couple things to note. The Midori has a lined rather than a tiny grid free page, and it is a larger line than the grid, although still a small rule, if that makes sense. Maybe just slightly smaller than college ruled. Sundays are in green again, and the days are divided by a green line. They're divided in half, whereas the weeks it's not divided at all, but it has these two little dots. And anyone that uses this already knows, but it has guides for you to divide these in thirds. That made the space a little too small for me, so I never used that, and I would divide these in half myself all the time because I like to split it between events and then important tasks for the days. So I really like that that's kind of built in for me. And I don't mind the larger line. This is a very small grid, and it kind of prevented me from using all this space anyway. So I like that as well. In my free space, I use a few different kind of revolving sections. I have usually like a priority or like a reminders list at the top, a top 3 for the week kind of thing. Sometimes that's 3 important things that I need to get done that week, or sometimes it's just things to remind me of. Something I've used that for several times is just telling myself to like relax or do de-stress activities, to drink more water, self-care, blah, blah, blah. And I like it for that because when I have a million things that I have to do and I start getting overwhelmed by them, tasking myself with just chilling out makes it easier for me to do, so it doesn't feel like I'm neglecting my list in order to relax. It's something on my list, if that makes sense. So I like it for that. I also I do like a miniature meal planning in here, so I put dinner ideas for the week. Basically, these are all the things that I have like planned out ingredients for, and then they're all, you know, easy weeknight dinners, and I can just pick from this little recipe list each day of the week. I will then mark which day I made them, and that kind of helps me keep track of leftovers at the end of the week. I don't keep any shopping lists in here. I keep that on a list pad in front of the fridge just because, you know, when I'm in the kitchen is when I'm thinking about what ingredients I need. So I like it to be co-located there rather than in my planner, which I don't always have with me in the kitchen. I also have a to-do list for things that need to be done this week, but not necessarily on a specific day. And then I can just kind of fit them in whenever I have time. A really important thing for me is to give myself a limited amount of space for this. Otherwise, I will fill it with things that would be nice to get done this week, and I don't focus on essentials, and I give myself too much. So I usually count out like 12 to 14 tasks for the week, and that makes me prioritize and keeps me from overtasking myself. And I also leave a little section for notes. Sometimes I use this for more than other times. And then I also carry my color coding from the monthly into my weeklies. There's a blank one, and obviously this is a different paper. The Weeks is the Tomoe River paper. I did mention in my rant against the Weeks that I don't care for this. That does stand. It's a little, it just feels very flimsy to me, and I don't hate the yellow, the slight kind of yellow cast, although I do prefer a nice crisp white page. This is, it's Midori paper. I'll admit I don't know a ton about the specifics of that. I would say it's thinner than 28-pound paper, but thicker than your standard printer paper, so whatever's in between there. Maybe it's just slightly thinner than 28-pound, but it's, I don't know if you can see. There is a little bit of shadowing. It's not bad. I haven't gotten any bleed through with gel pens or highlighters, so it's a good paper. Do recommend. And then, okay. Another big difference, and this might be a deal breaker for some, is that the Midori has just 5 lined note pages at the very end. So because there are so few, I just use them for trackers, and I really like it for that. So here I have a full year of, a little over a year, the full, run of the planner of bill trackers and appointment and other like annual or monthly task tracking. The way I've done this, because it runs through technically 3 years, is I have a column that denotes the start of 2019, and then that's followed by the 3 months within 2019, 2020, 12 months, and then 2021, that one little straggler there. And yeah, so when I like pay a bill, I just write in the date that it was done. I used to just cross that off, but I've recently found it more helpful to put in the date so I can reference exactly when I did any of these things. And the same goes for, like, I have in here my annual physical or going to the dentist or the optometrist, paying my taxes, updating my car registration, things like that. So it's a nice place to keep track of all of those. And then I have my 2 pet trackers where I just keep track of their last vaccines, procedures or like vet visits, and then their medications, currently just flea meds for each. I do have a more comprehensive record, but that's in a separate planner. This is just a quick kind of at a glance, so I know where they're at, what they're going to need when it's coming up. And then I have one more page here. I will probably use this for like a vehicle maintenance tracker, and it's the same kind of thing. Instead of the full record, just the highlights of what's been done, what's coming up. So it's quick at a reference, or at a glance. All right, so there is a big difference between these two in the end pages. The Hobonichi Weeks has all kinds of reference pages, but in Japanese. I know there are places you can look up online what these mean, but I couldn't tell you here. Whereas Midori has some additional, I think, more usable fields for the average US user. This first one here, and you know what? A very lovely individual told me what these mean. So let me pull it up for you now. So that's, I hope I'm saying this right, kai.gray on Instagram. That's kai.dot.gray. I'm going to link her below because she was so helpful. But she told me what these means. This is a gift list. So how this looks is you have a spot for the date, a name for to and from, and then I guess this over here says item and amount. So you can totally use it for that. That's handy. And then this is apparently titled as a health check calendar. I'm not 100% sure what that is or how to use it. What it looks like, though, is essentially it's a single page version of this year to glance at the beginning. So that's interesting. Then you have like a couple pages of contact cards where you can put the name, address, phone, mobile, and email. And then we have one more here. I can't find the message now, but for some reason I feel like someone told me this was for keeping track of like doctor information. But so there are a couple fields, the titles of which I couldn't tell you, and then phone, card number, and memo. I know that makes sense. You could totally use it for that. Then there is a password tracker, 3 pages of the Japanese railway system, and then a back page for personal information. This does also come with 2 bookmarks, like the tassel bookmarks. I will probably cut them off. They drive me nuts. I already accidentally pulled the bottom off of this one in a really ridiculous way. So I just like to mark it with little clips and stuff instead. And yeah, I think that covers it. Just as a quick aside as well, I just see this asked all the time, so I figured I'd show it. As far as the weeks in this cover, just to show you, it is like exactly the height of the weeks. So while you could totally keep the weeks in there, you could like band it in there. It will not fit in the back slip pocket, or at least the standard cover won't. I know you can, there's some, flexibility in cutting down the Sneaker Weeks cover. So if you're interested in that, that would be doable. And also, because this is almost the exact same size as a personal traveler's notebook insert, I know a number of people will keep a Weeks in a personal traveler's notebook. This is a great option for that as well, and it would fit a little bit better. It would probably slip into the back pocket of many traveler's notebooks, whereas the Weeks cannot because it is too tall. So just something to keep in mind. Thanks so much for listening to my spiel. If you have any questions, please post below. I will link everything that I can think to link. And if there's anything you'd like to see or hear in my next video, please comment that too. All right, bye.